Story originally chronicled by Nuala Curien, collected by seer Alexandra Curien, and expanded by Witsili Nikali. In the cold forests and bogs of Hibernia lived the influential and wealthy Curien family. The patriarch of the family, Seamus Curien, named Cicero, was a hunter, and he often hunted with his dog, the Hound Angus. One day, in his 50s, Seamus traveled to a part of his land that he had never been at before, part of the bog that was quiet, foggy, and isolated. Just Seamus and Angus, traveling through the bog looking for any wild birds that they could take home. Instead, they found a small island in the middle of the bog. On top of the island, built like a grave, was a large mound that had a large stone facing toward Seamus. As curious as Seamus was, he knew better than to tempt the Fae or any of the strange esoteric creatures out there in the world. And as strange as this was, it did not call forth his curiosity, so Seamus instead turned back to the way home. And as he made his way home, it wasn't until he actually made it home that he realized that Angus wasn't with him. He called for his loyal companion, but Angus did not return. Even when Seamus went out the next day to look for his dog, he could not find Angus. Even when Seamus tried to find the way back to the bog, he couldn't find his way back. He would follow his old tracks, only to realize his tracks would circle back on themselves, like he was following only himself. For 2 weeks he searched his lands for his lost dog. He even went to the nearby town and asked them if they saw anything, and they told him about the Barghest that they saw coming from the bog over the last few weeks. Barghest was first seen when a child, wandering far from her mother, decided it would be fun to play in the river. Not realizing how fast-moving the river was, the child nearly drowned, only to be saved when a large black dog dove into the river after her, pulling her out and bringing her to the people of the village, before the Barghest ran back into the bog. The Barghest was also seen on a dark night, stalking a known thief. Even when the thief tried hiding on holy ground, the Barghest stalked the criminal, large and powerful as a wolf. And even though the black hound would not step onto the holy ground of the church, it kept a watch over the thief, refusing to stop its stalking until the criminal confessed all of his crimes to the priest. Once he had confessed, the black Barghest disappeared into the fog, and it stopped following the criminal. And still, this would be the pattern held by the black Barghest of the bog. When someone in town needed help, the dog would appear from fog, darkness, or even the bog itself, as the dog served as both harbinger and hero alike. Sometimes when a home was built improperly, the Barghest would bark at where the structure would collapse, would keep barking until people began to repair the damage, only leaving when the home was properly rebuilt. When food was contaminated with mold, poison, or dangerous in some way, the Barghest would not let it be eaten, either by pulling it away or eating the food itself. When someone was lost in the bog or forest, the black Barghest would guide them back to town, a hero to many lost souls in and around the town. Other times, the dog would harm those who were harming others. When a cruel man began beating his horse when he thought he was alone at night, Black Barghest attacked him from the darkness, chewing off the man's hand so he was no longer able to commit his cruelty with his own hands. Whatever part of the body a villain would use in their crime, the Black Barghest would be sure to chew it off and consume it. Whether it was the trigger finger of a sharpshooter, the genitals of a rapist, the tongue of a contract breaker, the feet of a draft dodger, or the hands of a thief. If the black Barghest had caught your scent, it would follow you to the ends of the earth. The only hope for escaping its wrath would be to confess your sins to someone holy or ordained. The only times the black Barghest would be angry enough to kill someone was when someone tried to find out where the black Barghest lived. Whether they were curious youths who thought that finding the home of the dog would be a fun Feral thrill, or if they were soldiers sent by a local kinglet. It didn't matter if it was a poor and desperate beggar who was promised gold to find where the black Barghest lived, or if it was a rich and desperate land noble who was promised to find his lost dog if he found the Barghest. The Barghest would visit death upon any who tried to find or disturb its home. Death by the stopping of the heart, their bodies found in the deepest pot of the bog. Still, even with this warning, Seamus Curien wanted his dog returned to him, regardless of the danger to himself or to those around him. Seamus loved his dog more than he loved his own life, and he thought that Angus would love him more than death.